Fortnite players will never reach a professional level, even if they play for 10 hours a day, unless they use their time effectively. That's why I've gathered the best practice routines for every time limit, so you don't have to. When you only have 1 hour to practice, every second has to count if you want to improve quickly. For that reason, Destiny's Jesus 1 hour practice routine is perfect for squeezing the most out of your time. Start with around 15 minutes of freebuilding until you stop making mistakes. For me, this only took around 5 minutes, but this can be different depending on the day. Next, hop straight into Raiders Mechanics Training V5. This map is perfect for everything mechanics, from building and editing to every aim training scenario you can think of. First, head into the Peace Control tunnels and turn on peak training, making sure to use the in-game guns for the most realistic practice. While running through the Peace Control tunnels, try to slow down and take safe peeks. This is something I often forget to do in-game, so starting with this helped me focus on doing it properly as the day went on. Only focus on aim training if it's one of your weaker areas, but obviously I would never need to aim train.
You lying?
I personally worked on surge tags, bounce tracking, and glider tracking to improve my long range aim. Then for close range fights, I added aim duels to work on my tracking within a box. This part should be customized to your own weaknesses. Don't just copy what others are doing, target what will actually make a difference in your gameplay. Next, you need to start applying what you've practiced. DJs suggest focusing on the mode that you're worst at. For me, that's Zone Wars, so I warmed up against someone good from the Noble Scrims Discord. Even though I hate Zone Wars and ended up getting so bored I was going for clips, I only managed to lose 7-5, which isn't that bad for me. The final, yet most important part of this routine is Reload Ranked, which is ideal for improving your fighting skills. The constant action compared to everyone running away in cars in normal ranked makes this much better for practicing your fighting. DJ's recommendation is to land at an outskirts POI to get loot before fighting. This means that you get much higher quality fights as you have better loot and don't get third partied as much. How long you play ranked reload depends on how much time you have. I spent around 45 minutes and found it to be some of the most productive fighting practice I've had in a while. As a very scientific way of testing how good the routine was, I jumped into headshot only box fights to test my improvement by tracking how many kills I could get in a full round. I ended with 27 kills, which seemed pretty decent, but realistically this could mean nothing. At the end of the video, I will compare the results for each routine to see which one worked best for me, but some of these shorter routines are generally better if they're done every single day. Next up, I tried Maron Tm's 2-hour routine to see if doubling my practice time makes a bigger impact. The routine kicks off with 10 minutes of aim duels to warm up your accuracy. To do this, I spent a couple of minutes in all 5 aim duel scenarios, setting the difficulty to hard to maximize the results. Next, warm up your movement and mechanics by freebuilding. Instead of just spamming builds, focus on scuffed edits, those tricky ones you rarely do but often cause you to die in real games. Once warmed up, move on to some kind of Zone Wars. As we know, I'm not playing Zone Wars 1v1s for 50 minutes, so I opted for 32 player Zone Wars with asterisks. This turned out to be an absolute disaster. While this could have been incredible practice if we developed some good strategies, after around 30 minutes we got bored and moved on to the final part of the routine. This is dedicated to W-keying everyone in ranked for 50 minutes. This part went surprisingly well. Even after rebooting asterisks in back-to-back games, we managed to stay decently consistent. After ranked, I then hopped back into headshot only box fights to see what score I could get. After the 10 minutes was up, I ended with 30 kills, a 3 kill increase over the 1 hour of practice. This could mean that the longer routine was better, or it might not, who knows, but next it was time to move on to the 4-hour routine. This routine was created by BlackxTe, which I found in his Discord, which I've linked in the description. The routine starts with an over 1 hour warm-up section. It begins with simple aim duels, similar to the previous routine, but this time focusing on shotgun and AR usage. After the aim duels and some shotgun react to finish it off, I started focusing on long-range tracking. I worked through every single tracking scenario in Raiders map, making sure I perfected every angle and speed. After tracking, I loaded into BlackxTe's freebuild map, which includes customizable speed options. 0.8 times speed, I started here to focus on crosshair placement and clean, precise edits. Then I moved to faster speeds to practice on editing faster and generally warming up as quick as possible. Finally, I adjusted back to the game's default speed until it felt normal again. To finish the warm-up, I went through Raiders Peace Control tunnels, turning on peak training. This forced me to practice taking safe, calculated peaks while maintaining speed and control throughout advanced edits. After warming up, the routine suggests playing 1 hour of 1v1s in either realistics or build fights. I chose build fights because the players tend to be better, giving me better practice. Even though I was playing well, I never managed to hit any clips, which was probably a good thing because it meant I wasn't wasting time and I actually got some solid practice instead of just freebuilding. The final part of the routine is 1 hour and 45 minutes of ranked. While BlackxTe's routine recommends normal ranked, I decided to play reload ranked to focus on improving my fighting. This time, after all the prior warm-up and practice, while W-king everyone I saw, I was absolutely moving.
They do 2 damage and then key you. Get out. Nice. Let's go! Get out! Get the hell out. Oh! Woohoo! Oh my.
Most players who practice for more than 4 hours a day are serious about going pro, but when I searched for a 6+ hour practice routine, I couldn't find one that I felt was truly optimized or helpful. That's when I had the very stupid, but oddly brilliant idea to ask ChatGPT to create me a 6-hour practice routine that incorporated every key aspect of Fortnite. And before you think this is going to be some kind of disaster, ChatGPT absolutely cooked. The routine kicks off with a 1 hour warm-up, focusing on every aspect of my mechanics. I started in the building section of Raiders mechanics training map, using a progression similar to the BlackxTe routine. 80% speed, then 120% speed before finishing on normal speed. Afterward, I moved on to the piece control tunnels to fine-tune my builds and edits. Next, the routine suggested practicing aim training scenarios tied to the mechanics I had just worked on. I cycled through exercises like headshot box fights, individual peak training, side jump shotgun, box fight aim, and shotgun reacts. After around 40 minutes, I was ready to put everything into action. The routine recommended piece control 1v1s, which perfectly complemented the prior training. While some opponents weren't the best, it was still a great way to practice applying my edits, builds, and peaks into real scenarios. With that, the first hour of warm-up was complete, and it was time to dive into the main part of this routine. I started the second hour with 30 minutes of Kovacs, using an old Jiving routine I hadn't touched in months. Surprisingly, within 15 minutes, I was nearing my old high scores, despite being on a completely different sensitivity. Next, ChatGPT recommended spending 30 minutes in an in-game aim trainer to apply my aim training with Fortnite's actual weapons. Naturally, I hopped back into Raiders Mechanics Training V5. Here, I focused on aim scenarios I knew I struggled with, practicing them until I felt noticeable improvement. With aim training done, it was time for an hour of solo ranked. ChatGPT insisted on playing the normal battle royale mode, so that's what I did. For no particular reason at all, I absolutely dominated and won nearly every game. Hour 4 was dedicated to VOD reviewing my gameplay. This would have been perfect if I had done an hour of scrims or struggled in my games. Since most of my opponents were not the best, there weren't many obvious flaws to analyze. That said, if you think you can spot errors in your gameplay, this step is super valuable for improvement. The routine then moved on to 1 hour of focused fighting practice, starting with 30 minutes of Ken Bean speed realistics, then 30 minutes of box fights. Honestly, there's not much else to say here. This was just good, consistent practice that could be replaced with any game mode you struggle with. To finish things off, the final hour began with 30 minutes of Zone Wars 1v1s. As you know, I absolutely hate Zone Wars, so spending 30 minutes here was bound to be an interesting experience.
Oh my god. Ooh, full sparrow. Bro, how many cones do you want to place? Okay. Woo, I'm insane. I'm so good. I'm sure he is having so much fun right now. Wee. Really?
The final, yet arguably most important part of this routine was some endgame practice, which I did through the use of Forever Zone Wars. My goal was to get a nuke 10 kills in a row without dying. After 6 hours of grinding, it was time for headshot only box fights. After 10 minutes, I ended with just 19 kills, a horrendous result compared to the other routines. Was this due to being exhausted after 6 hours of practice, or does it mean absolutely nothing? Who knows? If you enjoyed, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.